Leftwing snowflake David Hogg is quitting his pillow company because real work is too much work. CNN gets called out for spreading propaganda, plus BLM fires back at conservative criticism of one of its leaders. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great week. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with David Hogg because he's getting a lesson in life. He's getting a lesson in capitalism, learning that capitalism actually takes work. Running a business takes work and planning. It's not like giving speeches or posting left-wing nonsense on Twitter. This takes actual work, actual initiative, actual focus. And apparently, that's not for him. So remember this. He was going to make this left-wing alternative. He was going to take on Mike Lindell and MyPillow, go after him with an alternative, a progressive company that does things right. Here's how it was billed on CBS News.
David Hogg says he's starting his own pillow company. He's calling it a pillow fight against Mike Lindell, the founder of MyPillow, who gained notoriety for his support of President Donald Trump. Hogg says he's going to serve as an advisor to the new pillow company with a goal to, quote, prove that progressives can make a better pillow, run a better business, and help make the world a better place while doing it.
So, how did things get going? Well, first, Hogg and Associates had to determine a name. They had to come up with a name. So they came up with Good Pillow. But in bad business sense, they didn't trademark the name. So someone else took it. Here's that story from back in March. Progressive pillow entrepreneur David Hogg slept through the first step of creating a business. Good Pillow got off to a nightmare start this week as multiple news outlets reported that the gun control activist apparently didn't trademark his company's name. Now the moniker Good Pillow belongs to someone who is neither Mr. Hogg nor his announced business partner, tech entrepreneur William Leggett. According to the trademark application, Good Pillow was being registered for a custom-built pillow to use the mark in commerce or in connection with identified goods and services, the website Meow reported. Oops. All right, now we fast forward to the present, and David Hogg announced that he's stepping back from his company. He's saying goodbye to Good Pillow. And why? Because it's real work. It takes too much time. Apparently, left-wing activism is much easier than actual work. And here's the story. David Hogg has tapped out of the pillow fight. The gun control activist announced that he is quitting the progressive pillow company that he and William Leggett announced with much fanfare in February. 2 months later, Mr. Hogg is abandoning his plan to show up MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell, an outspoken supporter of former President Donald Trump. While saying that the project was met with immediate and overwhelming support, he announced Saturday on Twitter that he couldn't continue. So Hogg went on Twitter because, that's what millennials do. They have to tell you everything and anything that they're thinking. He went through the lineup of why he's stepping back because there's just too much going on right now. We were met with immediate and overwhelming support, but I soon realized that given my activism, schoolwork, and family commitments, I could not give 100% to being a full-time co-founder at Good Pillow. Activism, schoolwork, and family commitments. Here's my deal. Dude, maybe you should think things through before you make a national announcement that you're going to go after and bring down Mike Lindell and his MyPillow company. Maybe you should have a business plan. Maybe you should know what it takes to run a business. Here's more from Hogg. Serving as an advocate and activist is just one major part of my life. I do hope to one day shape our global community to become more aware, progressive, and equitable through social entrepreneurship and other avenues in the future. So that's David Hogg. Folks, there was so much hype for Good Pillow, so much hype. He was this liberal, this progressive that was going to run the business the right way, treat his employees the right way, on and on and on. All of this hype, just one thing. I guess liberal activism was getting in the way. It took too much time, so he's going to say goodbye to the business because real work takes a lot of work, and he found that out in front of all of us. All right, so next let's talk about CNN. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. We're making our push for 150,000 subscribers, and we can do it with your help. All right, let's talk about CNN, because if you had any doubt that they're a left-wing propaganda machine, those doubts are washed away because Project Veritas, you know them from their undercover stings at Planned Parenthood and other organizations. Well, they focused on CNN and they revealed a technical director who just flat out admitted that their goal was to bring down President Trump using propaganda.
It's going to be our focus. Our focus was to get Trump out of office. Without saying it, that's what it was. Trump his hand was shaking or whatever, and he was losing it. He's unfit. We were creating a story there. So I think that's propaganda.
So that's the lead in. And once they got this guy talking, he was spilling the beans on all sorts of topics. First, here's more in depth on this so-called shaking hand story.
Yeah, I mean, like Trump, we did it. Like when Trump was, I don't know, like his hand was shaking or whatever. We brought in like so many medical people to like all tell a story that like it was all speculation. That he was like neurological damage, like that he was losing it. He's unfit to, whatever. We were creating a story there that we didn't know anything about. So that's I think that's propaganda.
Oh my gosh, folks, they're making news where there is no news. They're developing their own narrative. And guess what? That's propaganda. So that's the Trump side. What about the Joe Biden side? Here's more.
We would always show shots of him jogging and that I'm healthy, blah, blah, blah. And him in aviator shades and like you paint him as a young geriatric.
A young geriatric. I just love that. That was their focus. We're going to paint him as a young geriatric and just fool the American people. That's what they were thinking because they know Joe Biden doesn't have it upstairs. They know he's losing it. He forgets what he's doing. He doesn't know where he's at, but we're going to paint him as a young geriatric. So then what does CNN do next after COVID, after all this hype, after all this fear? What are they going to focus on next? Probably climate change.
They've already announced inner office that once the public will be open to it, we're going to start focusing mainly on climate, like global warming, and like that's going to be our next I don't know, like what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be our focus. Our focus was to get Trump out of office, right? Without saying it, that's what it was, right? So our next thing is going to be for climate change awareness.
Left-wing propaganda. That's what you get from CNN. If you had any doubt, that put it to rest right there. They have an agenda. They have a narrative. They're going to push it. Forget the actual real news. All right. So next, let's talk about BLM leader Patrisse Cullors because she is taking an enormous amount of heat for a big-time real estate purchase in one of the widest areas of California. So not only are people questioning the purchase because it was a lot of money, but also the judgment in saying that you stand up for Black lives, that they matter, and yet you choose to live in an area that is almost 100% not Black. Well, because of that criticism, BLM, the organization, is firing back at conservatives. And you know what they're saying? They're saying these attacks are driven by one thing: racism. And here's the story. The Black Lives Matter Global Network has blamed right-wing forces for the uproar over co-founder Patrisse Cullors' reported millions in real estate holdings, even as a leading BLM activist called for an independent probe. The network defended Ms. Cullors, who described herself in 2015 as a trained Marxist after she was slammed for buying last month a $1.4 million home in exclusive Topanga Canyon, a Los Angeles County enclave that is 88% white. Patrisse's work for Black people over the years has made her and others who align with the fight for Black liberation targets of racist violence, read the statement provided Monday to the Washington Times. The narratives being spread about Patrisse have been generated by right-wing forces intent on reducing the support and influence of a movement that is larger than any one organization. A target of racist violence. Since when is calling out hypocrisy racist? Since when is questioning a big-time purchase from a leader of a non-profit racist? Oh, I forgot. We're dealing with left-wing radicals, so everything is racist. Here's more. The statement continued. This right-wing offensive not only puts Patrice, her child, and her loved ones in harm's way, it also continues a tradition of terror by white supremacists against black activists. Ms. Cullors, who is married to Black Lives Matter Toronto co-founder Janaya Khan, has purchased 4 homes since 2016, 3 in the Los Angeles area, 1 in Conyers, Georgia, at a total cost of $3 million, according to transaction records posted by Dirt and the New York Post. She has been accused on the right of being a race hustler and a fraud, given BLM's dim view of capitalism, but the criticism has also come from the left. Hawk Newsom, leader of the Black Lives Matter Greater New York, called for an independent investigation into the foundation's spending, saying that the questions were hurting the movement. So, apparently it's okay if Hawk Newsom criticizes Patrice Cullors, criticizes the purchase, criticizes the judgment, but if conservatives do it, it's white supremacy. It's racism. That's what they'll say. And why? Because they don't want to discuss the issues. BLM will do what it wants. Its leaders can do what they want, and no one should say a word. No one should be allowed to say a word, according to the left, because if we say it, it's obviously a racist agenda. It's not calling out hypocrisy or bad judgment. It's racism. That's what they're saying, and that's what's going on. All right, so next, let's talk about toilet paper, because I know that's a big concern for everybody. You've probably been glued to your TVs wondering what's the latest on the toilet paper shortage, because when COVID hit, everyone freaked out. They freaked out. Forget food, forget water. What we need are rolls and rolls of toilet paper. So obviously this affects suppliers, and here's the story. Retailers have lost more than $800 million from May 2020 to February 2021 in toilet paper sales alone. The resulting loss in sales was due to either retail outlets not carrying the brand customers preferred, or they were out of stock. Not only can retailers lose a significant amount of their sales if the products are not on the shelf, but out of stocks also result in reduced customer satisfaction and lower loyalty levels, Richard Cook, intelligent analytics leader for Nielsen IQ, said, according to the Shelby report. So that was the situation, but now the tide is turning. Demand is actually going down. And why? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, people don't have the fears anymore of the COVID lockdowns. Things are opening up, so the demand has gone down. And 2, some people out there have huge supplies, huge stockpiles. Here's one example. Marjorie Greenberg of New Rochelle, New York said, "I'm not planning on buying for a while," according to the Wall Street Journal. Greenberg currently has 54 rolls throughout her home. They just kept amassing. Greenberg, like many at the start of the pandemic, feared the toilet paper would run out. You never knew when you weren't going to be able to get it. So every time we went out, we got some. Wow, 54 rolls in the house. 54 rolls, and that's just one example. But as the story went on, they showed that the demand is going down. Sales were down in January 4% from the same time last year. February, 14%. March, down 33%. So we seem to be coming out of it as we're opening up, as the lockdowns are ending. Toilet paper fears are finally going away. Folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching, and before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified, and here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-Minute News Hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.